my father, my mother, my older brother and myself. The year is 1991, the Gulf War. Saddam Hussein is threatening Israel with chemical weapon and bombing us with Scuds. Everyone has to choose one room in the house and make it their sealed room. We chose my parents' bedroom, so we closed everything hermetically using a special nylon and masking tape, putting wet clothes under the door and cans with food under the bed, and the most important, wearing those gas masks. There is no toilet in my parents' bedroom, so we put a bucket in the corner in case someone will need to wee. My mother uses it most of the time. She's pregnant. Usually, because we are religious, we never open the TV or the radio on Shabbat. But now, because it's a war and a matter of life and death, the TV and the radio are open 24/7, so that we can hear the alarm and get a sign when is it okay to leave the room. We are watching films, listening to music, and just spending hours in the sealed room. And I love it. This kind of intimacy that we never had in normal days. War outside and warm inside. I can see my mother pregnant sitting on the bucket, my father make troubles and doesn't want to wear the mask, and my brother and myself playing games in the middle of the night. I think it is one of the best childhood memories I have. Thank you, Saddam Hussein.
This is Ruthie. She's an Israeli artist who lives in the UK. She's a mother of 2 boys. Her life is crossed by many wars, but now she's in a war inside.
This is Pedro, a Brazilian artist. 2 years ago, 2 major changes happened in his life at the same time. He entered politics and became a father. When he was a child, he always avoided conflicts. But now, he has all conflicts at the same time.
My daughter is expected to be born close to the New Year's Eve. So we arranged ourselves to be quiet, to be calm. We're always in a rush with a lot of work, but now we want to be cool. 31 of December, this is Roberta's, my life mate birthday. Woo! But I have to go in a rush to the hospital because my mom goes to a heart surgery, an emergency heart surgery, and I have to leave Roberta alone. Everything is blurry. In a dinner to celebrate Roberta's birthday, she faints. New Year's Eve. The first day of the year, Bolsonaro takes power in Brazil. I used all my weapons at the time to avoid it. I wrote big text on Facebook. I talked to people. I even talked to people on the streets. But he won. And he is a fascist and hate left-wing people and artists. I am both. So I have at the same time something wonderful happening in my life and something awful happening in my country. So for the next days, we are waiting Rosa to arrive anytime. So we are living each day as if it was the last one. But she doesn't come. We are worried because Roberta did all those natural trainings, with balloons, with pilot's ball, in the swimming pool. She really wanted things to be natural. But when we reach 41 weeks, we decide it's time to induce the labor. So, beautiful sunrise. This is the most important day of my life. We have a breakfast and we go to the hospital. So Roberta takes the medicine and things quickly start to work. And so she enters in labor, and we are in labor and we are like, wow, this is happening. So we are moved to this very fashion room with colorful lights and speakers where we can put some music. Roberta's screaming of pain, but the more pain she feels, the happier she is. So she's screaming of pain with a huge smile. I put some reggae music, you know, we are in this good vibe, and the nurse says, in a few hours, your baby will be born. So this is really the happiest day of my life. When the doctor arrives, she sees that Rosa is in a very dark liquid called meconium in a heart level. So we have to measure her heartbeats to see if there's any inconstancy, if she's fine, if she's not suffering. And when she analyzes it, she says, we'll have to go through a cesarean. And I call her aside, away from Roberta, and I say, are you really sure of it? Because it will be a huge frustration. And she says, yes, you need to do it. So we split ourselves. I go to this medical room where I have to wear a mask and some medical clothes. My mind is filled with these horrible stories of births and things that could go wrong. And when I enter in the surgery room, there is this huge smell of alcohol. And the doctor wants to take some romantic pictures, like, oh, please hold her hand, look here. And I'm like, hey guy, okay, you can take her pictures, but please make it documental. So I'm connected to Roberta. They put this blue fabric covering her belly, and we cannot see anything, but we start to sense this smell of human flesh burning. And I see the movement, and suddenly Rosa appears. Rosa is born, but we cannot see her right because her umbilical cordon is tightening her neck. So they take 1, 2, I can see her. They give me the scissor, so I have to cut it. And when I cut it, she screams, and she screams very wildly. But when I see her, she's all covered with this meconium in her mouth, her ears, and so all of our natural beliefs just go away. And I'm like, please go, clean her head, clean her mouth, clean her ears. Like, we're cleaning her desperately. And so I bring her to Roberta's chest, and they are both crying, and they are very powerful. And this is like the most strong, powerful moment of my life, and all my wishes of quiet are definitely gone. The next days are just full of love, of human touch. People holding the baby, people kissing, people visiting. Even my mother, she's not fully recovered. She cannot hold her grandmother, but she's there. And I'm so glad she's with us. I was afraid of losing her as I lost my father. And many times I think, like, what would my father say? How would he feel? And I'm really glad that she's with us. When we go to our house, I'm in love with my new life, my new family. It's like everything's new, you know, we are doing things for the first time. Baths, trying to put her to sleep, like everything changed, you know. And one of those rare moments where Rosa is sleeping, I lay down, I connect to my WhatsApp, and I'm like scrolling and seeing, wow, there is a new Secretary of Culture in my city. And then a few hours later, a friend of mine sent me a picture hugging the new secretary, saying, he's sending hugs to you. And I'm like, wow. And then he says, tomorrow he'll try to reach you. He wants to talk to you.
It's been 27 years since I last saw the image of my mother pregnant in the sealed room. And now I'm not in Israel, but in the UK. And it is not my mother who is pregnant. It's me. It is my first birth, and I'm having strong contractions for the last 24 hours. Within them, I was sent back home from the hospital 3 times. I'm vomiting non-stop and getting dehydrated. And when we are finally in labor, getting the epidural and ready to give birth, the midwife is suddenly telling me, "Ruthie, I'm sorry, we lost the heartbeat of the baby." I must press the alarm, and then in a second, an emergency team with 15 people are entering the room. They are delivering Aliyah with a vacuum so fast that my body got into trauma and my womb stopped functioning. I'm shaking and losing lots of blood. The medical team needs to imitate the contractions in order to stop the bleeding, so 2 doctors are punching me in the tummy for long minutes till my womb returned to life. I'm losing 2 liters of blood. At the same time, half of the team is taking care of Aliyah, try to clean him and remove all the liquid he was swallow, try to help him breathe and clean and cry. Ari was pushed to the corner thinking,
All the intimacy just went to this emergency moment. There are like 15, 20 doctors, and I don't know who I'm going to lose first, my baby or my wife.
Suddenly, finally, we hear a gentle cry of a baby. The bleeding stopped. Both my baby and myself were at a life risk. The midwife is telling me, "Ruthie, you should be very grateful that you are giving birth in the 21st century, because this is the way women used to die while giving birth."
So in the next day, I come here in this very beautiful building, the Secretary of Culture of São Paulo, to have a meeting. I leave my newborn daughter at home and I go to the secretary's office. When I arrive, he says, "I want you to coordinate all cultural centers and theaters of the city to make a strong program to face Bolsonaro to bring back the laws for theater." I'm like, wow, I really agree with all of that. I just have a point that I just had a daughter, and I need time to take care of her. And he says, "Don't worry, you will make your schedules, you will have your team." So I have a question. I received last year an award from the municipality to do a play that I will open in 2 months that I'm writing and directing. I want to know if there's any conflict on it. He says, "No, it was last year, you were not here. It was another secretary, nothing to do, don't worry." And so I ask some time to think of it, and I go back home and I tell Roberta to understand what were her thoughts on this invitation.
I won't make this choice for you. The choice is yours. As long as you take care of Rosa, you can do whatever you want.
So I have this choice to do, and I'm thinking of it while I'm doing all the things. I'm like giving the first baths in Rosa, and I'm thinking of it when I put her to sleep on my chest, and I'm thinking of it. And I start to call some friends to hear other positions, and some say, you were always a militant. All doors are closed to culture. This one is open. It's a kind of a horse sealed. You should enter. I call a friend of mine that worked for a long time in the government and is also a father, and he said, "You are crazy to face both things at the same time." And so I asked the advice from a former secretary friend of mine, and he says, "It will be awful for you, Pedro, but it will be wonderful for us. You will see that people will start to hate you." And so I feel like this is the time to be a real militant, The situation is terrible. I have the opportunity to really do something. And so I decide and I accept. After I accepted, people greeted me. It was a surprise. I gave an interview with the same landscape, talking about my plans. I remember I bought this picture of Rosa making this peace and love sign to put in my new office. And so I felt like this kind of 50s father, that's proud of his work, proud of his family, go back to his life, very proud of it. I bought some candies, called Paçoca Amor, love. And I used to offer to anyone that would have a meeting to me, so it was in this mood. Some days later, some corridor talks, a guy tell me, you know, I don't know if it's right for you to be here with your award. I don't know if it's okay. And I say, no, come on, I asked you this to the first thing. People told me it was all right. So I decided not to sign to receive my payments and to wait to understand what was really the situation. And other corridor talks, I meet this very powerful guy and he says, didn't you sign yet? What are you waiting for? And I'm apologizing, for not receiving the money in the moment that I most need it. And I feel it's a time for some sacrifices, that I have to put my efforts on this public way, to put all my efforts in my daughter, to everything be fine. And so I decided also to give up the money I still had to receive from the award. And so my producer takes all the papers to put someone in my place in the project. And when she goes to deliver it, the guy from another department just gives her an justice intimation based on anonymous denouncement. And he laughs and say to her, Pedro will have to explain himself to justice.
I was raised by my grandmother, who was a Holocaust survivor. She survived 4 years in ghetto lodge, and from there was sent to Auschwitz. She was a very strong, powerful woman. She was 16 years old when the war started. They were 3 sisters, 2 brothers, and an elderly father, a very Orthodox Hasidic man. Her mother died when she was young before the war. In Lodz, the Jewish cemetery was within the area of the ghetto. So she told us that she used to go there to her mother's grave to hide and rest and eat some blueberries that grew nearby. This was her getaway in the ghetto where she could speak to her dead mother. My grandmother always told us that her big revenge in the Nazis will be if all her grandchildren become officers in the IDF. And so we did. All of us became officers in the IDF. I served almost 5 years. It was to fulfill our wish, but not only. It was very important for me to serve my country, and this is the way I was educated. And although my service was not very violent, I had to carry the weapon, the M16, with me at all time. And when I say all time, I mean all time. Every soldier knows that your weapon is like your child. You cannot abandon it. You take it with you to the shower, to the toilet. I slept with the weapon under my pillow every night. And I remember when I finished my service, it was very hard. It took me maybe 1.5 years to get rid of this strange feeling that I'm missing part of my body, as if I'm missing my hands or something like that. And a similar feeling came back to me when I gave birth. Immediately after I gave birth, this moment when you lose your tummy so quickly. Comparing to the weapon, I think it was easier. It is weird to compare, but when you carry your child, especially when you walk with him on you, breastfeeding and all of that, this kind of relationship, sometimes complex relationship that you have with him and with your body, the power it gives you and the feeling that you know what to do, but also what happened if I don't know what to do. The responsibility and the guilt. For me, there is no doubt that being a mother is much harder role than being a soldier.
I have to understand where this bullet came from. I have to understand who made this anonymous announcement. Who is this hidden enemy? One day I'm riding my bike to the municipality and a friend of mine, journalist, calls me and she says, Pedro, someone is trying to sell this fake news about you here And as I know you, I know it's not true, I won't publish. But when they realize that I won't publish, they will look for other place. And I'm like, who are they? And so I start to call, to search, and I only find one guy that shared this anonymous announcement. There's this very strange guy that I didn't even know, that had this picture with a gun, with a weapon in his profile on Facebook, and shared a picture of him in front of the main conservative temple of São Paulo, Templo de Salomão, saying, I'm healing my energies. I'm like, how this guy discovered me? He shared contents of the extreme right wing, attacking artists, some Alexandre Proto's video. And I understand I really need a lawyer to defend myself. I go to this lawyer that uses to attend like important artists. And when I tell everything to him, he says, if you lose this one, you won't be able to receive any support, any award, or have any public place for the next 5 years. And I'm like, desperate. I called the chief of staff and crying. Like, I really feel I made the worst decision in the most vulnerable moment of my life. One night, Roberta goes to a show and I'll stay with Rosa, try to put her to sleep, but she doesn't want to, and she cries and she screams, and I don't breastfeed, I don't have the same weapon. But when I finally can put her to sleep, Roberta arrives and rings the bell and she wakes up, and it seems like I failed. So I'm in the edge at my home, I'm in the edge of municipality. Why I did it? I meet this very powerful guy and he says, you lose your money in your project, giving up your salaries, how much you are losing. I am really into discover who are these guys. There is this one that invites me to lunch, and when I discover who put him here, what he did in the past, I'm sure he's involved. When I realize it, he starts to appear in my office without notice. He starts to make some strange questions. I feel like that he's trying to tape me all the time to force me to say something wrong. Well, I go to another lawyer, and when I tell her the story, she says, calm down, you made everything right. Don't worry, it's not right that people like you get so afraid to enter in politics. I will help you. And so I'm relieved. Well, the next days, the PR of the municipality tells me that the main magazine in Brazil wants to do an interview about this fake news.
In the army, it is so easy to forget that you are a woman. I remember that I wasn't shaving my legs for weeks. Not to speak about my body language, the way of speaking. So when I finished my service, I had to learn so many things from the beginning. About my femininity, about citizens' life. In Israel, we have this phenomena that when you finish your service, you go for a long trip. Half of the people are traveling to India and half of the people traveling to South America, to Brazil, for example. I traveled to India, so actually I've never been to Brazil. I mean, I was supposed to travel to India, but my mother was really against it. She was really scared about me traveling alone to India, but I decided to travel anyway. I took all the vaccinations and I went to the doctor to get some pills against malaria. All the preparations that you do before a long trip. And when I finished with the doctor, I saw many missed phone calls on my phone. It was my sister who told me to come back home immediately because there is a police officer at home. I dropped the bag that I had with me and I ran back home immediately. At home, as it was only my sister who was too young and my grandmother who was too old. He didn't want to tell them anything and just waited for me. When I arrived, he told me,
Please sit down. I'm sorry, but your mother was killed in a car accident.
So I had to postpone my trip to India. But I traveled at the end, 2 years later, against my mother's will. 3 days after my arrival, I was walking in New Delhi in a very non-touristic part of the city. It was getting a bit dark and I was there alone. And I had this bad feeling that somebody is following after me. I think it was during 20 minutes that I can see and feel that this man is following after me. I was continuing to walking and I suspected him. And then suddenly a boy who was running into me and told me, be careful, you see this man. And he was pointing toward this man that I've already suspected. Be careful, he's following after you. Come, I will take you to the police. And he was pointing towards this very narrow, dark road. Come with me, I will take you to the police. So very quickly I realized that something is wrong, that they are probably together or something like that. Come. So then I got closer to him, and I don't know from where I got this answer. And I just told him, listen, I'm not afraid. I was an officer in the Israeli army, and I'm going to kill him. Right here, right now. And then boom, in a second, they both disappeared.
I do my best to avoid this interview. It's something that anytime you Google my name, it will appear. But the journalist wants to do it, and so I decided to take the risk. The PR arranged the main meeting room in the municipality, and we received the journalist. We say that we don't agree this interview should happen. But if you want to do it, we are going to record it too for our safety. And so she decides to talk off records before the interview.
Hello, Pedro. I would like to ask you some questions about your role in politics.
I'm asking, please don't. Only the idea of publishing this interview makes me look guilty, No one shared this thing. Only this mad guy with a weapon in his profile picture on Facebook.
But if you didn't do anything wrong, you don't need to worry, right?
Wrong? You don't need to be wrong to be guilty in Brazil. The extreme right wing is in power right now. They are attacking all artists. They will use your interview to attack me.
Attack you? Pedro, do you think you are in a risk because you are an artist who entered politics?
Yes, for sure. And that is exactly why I entered here. Look at what's happening in my country. I'm a recent father. I just entered here. I didn't have time to do anything. I didn't even have time to answer to it. Please, give me time to answer for it.
So why did you do it? You have a family to take care of. You're a recent father. Were you not aware of the risk?
Good question, but don't you understand? Cannot you put yourself in position to understand what it is to be at risk for something that you believe, for your country?
Yes, of course I can.
You were a soldier.
Right, but in Israel it is mandatory to serve.
Well, but are you proud of everything that the Israeli army does? Do you agree with everything that your government does?
I don't know if proud is the right word, and I definitely don't agree with all what our government does, but yes, it was very important for me to serve my country.
Well, I don't know if I can understand you, like, for me, I hate the Brazilian army, I wouldn't imagine myself with a uniform. They are trying to do a cup here, I don't know if you can understand me neither.
No, I can understand you. It is not that in Israel people love war. No, we have a situation and we must defend ourselves. If your daughter were in a risk, you would fight for her.
Yeah, but now you're a mother. Will you send your sons to the army?
I wish I won't, but I'm afraid the answer is yes.
It was a very tense conversation, but at the end, she decided not to publish it. And so I was so tense with it, and I am relieved. And I take a cigarette, and I'm like, I don't even smoke. And then the PR says, wow, you were very, very true. I could really believe in what you're saying. You truly believe in everything you're doing.
Step forward. We hear that you are a good man. You cannot be bought. But the lighting which strikes the house also cannot be bought. You hold to what you said. But what did you say? You are honest. You say your opinion. Which opinion? You are brave. Against whom? You are wise. From whom? You do not consider your personal advantages. Whose advantages do you consider then? You are a good friend. Are you also a good friend of the good people? Are you a good father? Hear us then. We know. You are our enemy. This is why we shall now put you in front of a wall. But in consideration of your merits and good qualities, we shall put you in front of a good wall and shoot you with a good bullet from a good gun and bury you with a good shovel in the good earth.
I never faced something so difficult, so stressful, that brings you to your limits, where you have to control your most primitive instincts, where you have to learn to negotiate. You get in contact with your shadows, you lose your sleep, you have to really put the hand on the dirt. And no matter how hard you try, you are always in debt. Being a father is for sure the hugest challenge I ever had. But you receive a lot of love. Being in politics is also hard, but instead you receive a lot of hate.
In motherhood, you receive love, but you lose your freedom.
I finally have access to this anonymous denouncement, and it's so fake that we win it very easily. And so I understand that I have to go back and fight the people that did this, that I had to attack them in the shadows without being noticed.
אפילו העורב המקרקר צרוד כשהוא מבשר על כניסתו הגורלית של דנקן בחומותיו. הו רוחות, אתן הממונות המחשבות תורתת, עשו ממנו לא אישה אחרת, מלאו אותי מכתר ועד בוהן, אכזריות עליהן עד הקצה. בואו אל שדי הנשיאים, שהחלב שלי יהיה למצמרה, אתם שרי הרצח. מכל מקום שבו אתם טורחים, בלתי נראה מלחמות בטבע. בואו עטוף עשן חור של גיהנום, שסכין יחד לא יראה את הפצע שהוא פועל, שמאחורי שמיכת החושך לא יציצו השחיתים לצעוק עד כאן, עד כאן.
It is a year when I'm filled with diseases. I lay down on the floor of my office and I give orders because I cannot stand. In the weekend, while I'm still giving classes to help pay my bills, when the students are gone, I just throw up. I try to stand up and I throw up again. Cannot control myself. Finally, this main magazine publishes an interview with me. But now it's about the resurrection of the municipal theaters, how they are filled with people. And Roberta is coming back to work. People congratulate me. People greet me for my work. Even the mayor congratulates me. And I feel like things are going to a good place. Roz is growing up. She's cute. She's fine. She's wonderful. And so we finally have our first vacations at the end of the year. I can bring Rosa to meet the sea. And I hold her hand as she's trying to learn to stand up. And she's thrilled with the sea. So at the beginning of the year, we start this festival against censorship. We are facing Bolsonaro. We are opening theaters. We opened the first cultural center for diversity in Brazil. Things are really doing fine. It's worth all the efforts. And suddenly, they call me that the secretary wants to talk to me right now. And I think, oh no, what is the new bomb? I arrive at his office. He's seated on this black sofa and he says to me, Pedro, I'm receiving a lot of pressure to run for the city council this year in the elections at the end of the year. But I want to go. I don't want to do this. I want to continue to be the secretary. And so I thought that you could run for the city council and I will give you my total support.
It was Rosa's first birthday. We woke up very early as usual. I and my best friend Maya went to the museum with our daughter Cleo and Rosa. Cleo and Rosa, they are the same age and like sisters. They love and hate each other. So we went to this museum and everyone was happy. It was Rosa's birthday and it was really, really nice. Then when we went down in the museum, I started to feel very hot and I thought that I'm going to faint. I sat on the floor with Rosa and I started eating all the food we brought for them. I was eating, drinking water from Rosa's bottle. I was like, and Rosa was like, Mommy, mine. And I was like, no. Maya started to laugh, saying, oh, the bad mother, eating the baby's food. And I said, Maya, I'm not feeling well. I think that I'm going to faint. It's very, very hot. I see everything black. So we decided to leave the museum and go to a restaurant to eat something. I ordered Coke and drank and ate and felt a little bit better. So I thought, okay, I'm fine, we can go home. And when we went to the car, I passed a mirror. And when I looked at the mirror, I saw that my eyes were all red.
and I started to panic. I was thinking, something is wrong. I'm having something in my head. I'm not doing well. I'm going to die in my daughter's first birthday. And then I was like, no, I need some help. So I called Pedro, but he didn't answer. So I texted him, Pedro, something is wrong. I faint in the museum. My eyes are all red. I'm having something in my head. You need to come home and stay with Rosa, and I need to go to the hospital now. And he was like, no, I can't. I have something. I have a meeting. And I said, no. I called my mother and I explained her, Mom, this is what is happening. I'm not well. Pedro is at work. And then in 10 minutes, it was my father and my mother at home. My father stayed with Rosa, Maya, and Cleo. And my mother and myself, we went to the hospital. It was nothing at the end. But when I left home, I was crying, thinking that I'm not going to see my daughters again. I think it was a depression, or maybe I was not eating all day and breastfeeding and all of that. And we came back home after 2 hours and bought a cake. Pedro came back to their birthday. But I was very angry with him. Very, very, very angry. I don't know if it happens to everyone when you have a daughter, when you have a son. To me, it happens a lot, that I'm thinking that I'm going to die and I won't see her again. I'm going to die and she will stay alone. I'm going to die and she will have nobody. I'm going to die and... So I panicked. First birthday, you stop to think. After 1 year that you do everything, breastfeeding and everything. You know, when I'm thinking about it now, it is obvious that I would panic.
So I'm in this huge dilemma. Should I step forward into politics or should I step back? But before doing any move, I have to understand Roberta's position.
I don't know. It's your choice.
I used to call politics this kind of three-dimensional chess, you know? Sometimes you're moving forward, you're earning some positions, but suddenly appears a queen from nowhere and you're killed. So I have this difficult choice to make on my own, but now the risks are even bigger. This is first Rosa's birthday, and we arranged to have a small cake between us by the end of the day. But during the day, I have some tough meetings, especially one with this congresswoman that's also a secretary. And we run together this very important cultural center in the periphery. But she started to worry only about the elections and to drive her actions into it. And I'm saying, no, this is the time to confront her. And I have this meeting and I start to say all the things that I don't agree to her. And suddenly she stands up, look at me and says, are you confronting me? But Roberta doesn't stop to text.
Pedro, I'm not feeling well.
Calm down, calm down. We can dialogue. We can build things together. But Roberta doesn't stop to text.
I want you to come home now.
And we can build things together if we collaborate. We should work on together to build things. And so I start to answer Roberta, to understand what is happening. And quickly I start to talk with her father, with her mother, with her best friend, everybody that are going to be with her. And I'm continue the meeting, you know, like we shouldn't allow any conflict to destroy the big things that we are building together. And when the meeting is over, I rush to home. I get there earlier than it was expected, but when I arrive, Roberta is completely pissed off. I have this dilemma, and I ask my mother what are her thoughts, what she feels about entering politics. And she says, Pedro, I don't think it's for you. I think it's too tough. And I'm like, but I have this kind of feeling that I should enter. So I have this trip. I have to go to London to start exactly this project with Ruthie. I will meet her to start this project. And I feel it as a kind of moment to look things from outside, to have a quick moment to breathe and reflect on. When I'm saying goodbye to Rosa, after I'm going to leave for a week, and she says for the first time, Papai, Daddy, she calls me Daddy. And when I arrive in London, we meet in the Brazilian embassy building. There is this picture of Bolsonaro in the main hall. And this used to be a building that we were proud of with a very beautiful exhibition hall. But right now it's empty. The exhibition hall is empty. Only strange people, few people in this portrait of the president. So Ruthie arrives and she's pregnant.
I was really worried about raising 2 children and keeping my profession. Even one child was a huge challenge for me. And to add a new project, but I didn't want to quit. My friends told me, Ruthie, don't be worried, everything will be okay. You will put your older one in the nursery and you will stay with the baby half the day and you have a couple of tough hours in the evening. Now you know what to do, you will enjoy your maternity leave, sit in a cafe shop, wander around, everything will be okay. So I thought, I promised myself and you that I won't let motherhood take over.
I felt that you were very worried, but for me, it was a kind of an adventure. I was thrilled with that, wow, it's a good challenge, to deal with that. How will we manage with the kids? Will they appear in the play? Will they travel with us? They can become friends. It was something that I was dealing in my life and with politics. And so I remember that I told you everything, all the conflicts with the fake news, this huge dilemma of entering or not in the elections. And I was wondering what were your thoughts?
I thought that you would go for the elections. I mean, this is your inner desire and the thing which is right for you, to be in power and to make a change. But I didn't tell you. I didn't want to add to the conflict. And also, I was worried that maybe I was just projecting on you my inner conflict. I always doubt theater and its meaning. But I thought that it would be a play.
I was thinking at least this can be a project, and when we open this play, maybe it can be my last play, or maybe my life will be completely changed, but for sure I will have a decision.
Pedro, what did you want to be when you were a child?
I remember I used to tell my mom that I wanted to be the president. And you?
I wanted to be a spy.
We were in this creative process, and Aris, that is Ruthie's husband, he was very worried, and Roberta also. Both of them very worried with the coronavirus, and we felt that they were kind of hypochondriac, okay. We were reading about it, and day by day we started to be more worried, and I remember I buy my first hand sanitizer in a cafe with Ruthie. And I start to take buses, and when I'm moving out from London, I'm in the subway, in the tub, and I feel it's kind of dangerous to be so long in a closed place. When I'm in the plane coming back to Brazil, I see some people with masks, and I think that maybe they are overreacting. I arrive home filled with presents and gifts to Rosa, as my father used to do. And I'm glad that I'm there, and the secretary invites me to an urgent meeting outside of the municipality at night in a rooftop. When I arrive, People are sitting in the dark, smoking, you know, and then he tells us, you know, I was invited by the mayor to try to be his vice mayor. And for that, I will leave the secretary and I'll put my friend on my place. And I was like, wow. And at the end of the meeting, he asks in front of everyone, and you, Pedro, will you run for city council? And I'm like, too many moves at the same time. Take it easy. So in the next day, I am invited to a cafe with the new secretary, a friend of mine, and he invites me to be the artistic director of the municipal theater. And I feel like it's the best invitation I ever had. I couldn't hold the smile. In the next day, I text him and I say, it was Wednesday. Do you realize you will be the secretary that will have to deal with coronavirus? And he says, you know, I lost my sleep with that. Thursday, it was still not a subject in the municipality. We were talking about things and events. Oh, maybe it can happen. And they told me there was a meeting to happen on Friday. And I remember Friday 13, I received a phone call and we are supposed to close all theaters right now at the same moment. We had this huge international festival going on. Theaters were filled. We were with Mitch. And, you know, it felt like this kind of disaster movie, you know. I was in this kind of war room calling people and saying, no, it's not possible to do the play today. No, but the audience is here. No, cancel everything. Everything was canceled. People didn't understand. And so we officially entered in quarantine.
Boom, the pandemic. I'm finding myself locked down at home, pregnant, working while keeping on my little boy because all nurseries are closed, with the fear of getting the virus. In a country when we don't have any family around, and if something is happening to me or to my husband, no one could help. Restrictions, government guidance, COVID cases are rising, and the pregnancy hormones, it is tough. The only moment of rest that I have from home are the moment when I travel to the hospitals to do some checks. Crazy as it might sound, those are my moments of rest. Once I even lie that I cannot hear the baby, so they could connect me to the monitor and I will have 30 minutes of proper rest. There is a fear. I had a very bad experience in my first birth, and now the pandemic on top of it. So I think that I might die this time. So besides writing my birth plan very carefully, I'm calling a lawyer and signing my last will. Due to the coronavirus restriction, it is impossible to bring someone with you to the birth. My husband will be able to be there with me only in the very active part of labor. It is time and we are traveling to the hospital to give birth. Ari is dropping me at the entrance and stay outside. I'm vomiting, pushing, breathing, giving birth with a mask. This time it's easier, and after 5 hours the baby is out. Ari also been asked to leave, and a new midwife is coming and telling me, I'm sorry, we need a bed, you must leave the room. I'm taking a quick shower, almost falling on the floor, gushing blood. So she agrees to give me another hour and making me a plain toast with tea. I'm so hungry and tired and alone with my new baby. The day after I leave the hospital, putting gloves, mask, sanitizing everything, and ordering an Uber, putting my new little baby in a strange car, and traveling back home to a second lockdown in England.
the coronavirus is raging. There are more than 30,000 new cases a day and more than 50,000 deaths. We are packing our life and going up to Liverpool, to a new city, taking our 2 little boys, 3 years old and a newborn baby. The streets are empty and it is winter, and we are alone in a city that we don't know, knowing nobody, and we are not sure for how long we will stay. Coronavirus forced us to stay at home, but where is home now? To survive this period, I'm going up on this roof to breathe some fresh air and to look at the city from the bird's eye, from the seagull eyes to be precise. Liverpool is full of seagulls. What a bird. The opposite of the Chekhovian image you have in mind. The opposite of innocence and freedom. It is aggressive and violent. I'm a seagull. I never knew what to do with my hands, our hands. Suddenly, this focus on our hands, scrubbing them, washing them under the water for 20 seconds, sanitizing them, avoiding shaking hands, as if we are all a society of ladies Macbeths full of guilt. I never knew what to do with my hands. To write a play, to hold my baby, to cook food for dinner, to dance, to pray. When we started this project, we asked ourselves, is there a violence inside me? We both answered yes. Desire to power, survival mood. He always wanted to ask me if I shot someone when I was in the army. No, I didn't. Thank God.
The pandemic in Brazil is a tragedy. 600,000 people killed. And the president shows no mercy for the dead. Instead of it, he makes speeches against masks, against isolation. He even talks against vaccination. It's a war against ourselves. It's a genocide. The fear made us come back home, and so the invitation to municipal theaters, many other plans and things just fell down. I also gave up running for the city council. I thought it was the time to stay with my family and to keep my work in the municipality while people were desperate. It was not easy being here with this fascist in the government, in a pandemic, in an electoral year, with a small daughter to take care of. But you know, Rosa didn't leave me any time to be tired. And I'm sure it was it's not easy for no one. People called me desperate. They were afraid of losing their homes. They couldn't have money to eat. They really needed to be hired, and we did our best. We supported hundreds of cultural centers and theaters. We hired thousands and thousands of artists, and our programming was, million people saw it. It was important in this very tough moment to be here. And I played with Rosa. Self-isolating, inventing new games. She's growing up. It is not easy fighting with the extreme right wing, but it's not only them. You have to fight with people you don't know. You have to fight with friends. I had to fight with my brother, with my wife. I had to fight with myself to be here. And people are always challenging me in this position. And I don't have any support. I don't have kind of a party behind me. I don't have someone that say, no, don't worry, I'll pay your lawyers. Or someone that say, no, I will stay with you no matter what. And people all the time question, why you're there? They challenge me. They question me. And I'm saying, I really feel it's important to be here at this moment of the country. Well, I also decided that I shouldn't run for the city council, but sometimes I regret it, Sometimes I think it was a powerful opportunity to do something, to really work for my city. But it was too many risks, I couldn't risk to lose my connection, my relationship with my daughter at this moment. And you know what? I'm no fucking hero. People criticize a lot who enters in politics in Brazil. It looks like you are here because you want to do something wrong. You're doing something, you want to hide something. You have your interests. You have to be very tough to put, to face the dirt on it. And that's exactly the narrative that elected Bolsonaro. And I think it's time for us to change. We need to elect people that knows how to take care of people. People that knows how to put a baby to sleep, to play games with kids, to tell a beautiful story, to make us lose our fear of politics. I know I've crossed my limits many times while I'm here. But politics and paternity, they have something in common. Because you stop thinking only about what you want to do, and you start thinking what you're leaving behind to the others. What's your legacy? Doing both things at the same time, it was really, really tough. But I many times failed, felt that I was in debt, did things that I couldn't support to. But you know what? I prefer to look at my scars than to be seated on Facebook waiting for the next trial in the social network. I'm in the arena. I'm trying to do something. In the worst moment of my country and in the most beautiful moment of my daughter, I'm here.
Good morning, Pedro. I'm recording to you from Tel Aviv. I'm sitting near the Yarkon River and trying to say something about the situation. We came here to get a vaccination. The beach is full of people, coffee shops are open, market, sun. We can hug our family. Really post-corona time. It is so nice to see that after 1 year and a half. And then, boom, we are finding ourselves in the middle of the war. Alarms, shelters. The first alarm is catching me when I'm in a shower with Aliyah. I'm alone with the boys. My father went for jogging. And suddenly I see on TV a text, an announcement. Hamas will throw rockets at 9 p.m. It is 8:45, so I'm calling my father to come back home immediately. And when I just say, Dad, you must come home, Hamas is... Woo! The first alarm started, 15 minutes before time. I'm leaving the phone and running to the shower. Elia is naked. I'm covering him with a towel, holding him in one end and Inon in the other, and just run to the shelter. You have 60 seconds to get to a safe place, and I'm late. The boys are experiencing their first war. Inon is too young, but Elia is afraid. He can't stop saying, police, police. And whenever he hears a police siren, he wants to run to a shelter. I want to make this experience as nice as possible to them. So we are bringing coat and toys to the shelter. I'm not afraid, but just very sad that history repeats itself all the time. And feeling the weight of responsibility. What should I do? People are asking me why I'm not taking the boys and flying back to England. Why do you need this war? It is hard to explain, but in those times, I feel the opposite, as if I must stay. I can't leave my home, my country, and run away. This is not the way I was educated. And in those moments, you are asking yourself the hard questions about who you are and what you really need to do. There is this survival voice inside me calling me to fight. And there is the artist to seek for collaboration for new languages and alternative ways. And the mother who first need to get her boys to sleep. And they are all in a war, another war. In the middle of the night when I'm breastfeeding my baby and lying his head on the pillow next to me, I can still feel the weapon underneath. And I in between them,